Okay, so hey guys, and welcome back to another Sport This Week video. In this video, we've got some F1 and some big stuff happened in the F1. You might have seen it, you might have not. Got the football with the Champions League, Europa League, Premier League, and the cricket is back, some T20 international. A lot of boxing with Mike Tyson coming out of retirement and some other big fights as well. No UFC this week, no NBA. Well, there probably is NBA, like I said before. I'm not covering it loads because it is quite hard to cover in England. But also there is some rugby news as well with the Autumn Nations Cup still going on. But we'll start off with cricket. Oh yeah, if you're new here and have not yet subscribed, please do so. Like the video if you did like the video. And yeah, let's start off with some cricket. So, England are playing South Africa, and England won 183 to 179 in the first test of the T20. And in the second one, so it's like best out of three kind of, but of course there is still three. England won again with 150 to 146, meaning that they've already won the kind of series, but they are still going to play the final game, I believe. So maybe they can go 3-0. That would be really nice to see. But yeah, let's move on to boxing. So, as I said before, Mike Tyson did come out of retirement today. Well, not today, Saturday. And he fought Roy Jones. But before the whole fight kind of happened, they kind of gave out some rules, which were some big things. And basically, they said they can't deliberately knock each other out. No winner will be announced. If nobody gets knocked out. And if either man is cut, the fight ends, which I think is some stupid rules, and was also the reason why the fight ended in a draw. And yeah, I really think Mike Tyson probably did win it, but it was a draw in the end because there was no judges to decide what happens, as there was no knockouts. But yeah, I mean, it was kind of stupid in the way of the rules, but it was nice to see two legends of the game fighting each other again. Moving on, we'll go Jake Paul. Love him or hate him, probably more hate him. He did end up knocking out Nate Robinson in quite an impressive display by him, and yeah, now he's still calling out Conor McGregor now, which if it does happen will be a very big fight, and they're still of course waiting for KSI to respond to him. And then also in the heavyweight, Daniel Du Bois for Joe Joyce. And Joe Joyce, even though he was a pretty big underdog, 3-1 to win, and he did end up winning with a stoppage, and is now the Commonwealth, European and British heavyweight champion, and is calling out Alexander Usyk, who just beat Chisora, to basically just have a big fight. And I don't know if that will count as like a title thing, but maybe he'll start trying to push like Anthony Joshua if he does beat Usyk. And that'll be a big underdog story, as that'll be two British fighters fighting each other. But we'll have to wait and see on that one. That would be kind of interesting, really. But yeah, I mean, it was just interesting to see him fight, and it was quite an impressive stoppage in the end because he did just force him to stop because he literally couldn't see out of one eye, Daniel Du Bois, or Dubois, however you say his name. But yeah, he literally couldn't see out of one eye, and then had to kind of surrender in a way and let Joe Joyce win. Moving on to the football now, we've got quite a few results that we'll go through. So Burnley won 1-0 versus Crystal Palace, which is their first win of the season. Southampton drew 1-1 versus Wolves. Chelsea won 2-1 versus Rennes. This is like Champions League now. Barcelona won 4-0 versus Dynamo Kiev. Man United won 4-1 versus Istanbul. PSG won 1-0 versus RB Leipzig. Juventus won 2-1 versus Farosi. I don't know how you say it. Dortmund won 3-0 versus Club Brugge. Lazio won 3-1 versus Zenit. Man City won 1-0 versus Olympiacos. Mönchengladbach won 4-0 versus Shakhtar. Bayern won 3-1 versus RB Salzburg. Real Madrid won 2-0 versus Inter. Atalanta won 2-0 versus Liverpool, which was a big game, really, and Liverpool didn't really play very well, and that was their first home loss in ages. But yeah, Spurs won 4-0 versus Ludogorets. Rangers drew 2-2 versus Benfica. Lille drew 1-1 versus AC Milan. Leicester moving on to Europa League, Leicester drew 3-3 versus Braga. Arsenal won 3-0 versus Molde. I don't know how you say it. And then moving into the... I already kind of went into the Europa League. I forgot to say that. Newcastle won 2-0 versus Crystal Palace. Liverpool drew 1-1 versus Brighton. West Brom got their first win in the season with a 1-0 win versus Sheffield United, which I'm very pleased of, as I am a West Brom fan. I know it was semi kind of lucky, but I mean, it was a nice goal to be fair, and I'm glad that we're winning. Leeds won 1-0 versus Everton. Man City won 5-0 versus Burnley. Chelsea drew 0-0 versus Spurs, which is like a big game for like title deciders, and they drew. So I mean, I guess they just kind of keeps being intense at the top. Wolves beat Arsenal 2-1, and Man United beat Southampton 3-2. And then we'll move on to the sad news from football, which probably is the title because it is just such big news. Maradona has died age 60, which is very, very sad, and I feel for their family and all the Argentinian people really, because he was such a big figure in the Argentine culture. But yeah, rest in peace, a legend. Moving on though, we'll go to we'll do some rugby because there isn't like loads, but it's just results. France won 36-5 versus Italy. England won 24-13 versus Wales. Ireland won 23-10 versus Georgia, and then that is it for the rugby basically. F1 Bahrain Grand Prix. Grosjean had a huge crash with his car blowing up and splitting into two, but he was okay, but the race was red flagged at that time. If you have seen the crash, it was a huge crash, and there was like the car parts were going everywhere. There was a big like explosion of fire, and luckily he is okay to still be alive, and got rescued by the medical team and is doing okay in hospital at the moment. But he is going to get replaced by Fittipaldi for the Sakir Grand Prix next weekend. Moving on to the actual results of the race. Hamilton was first, Verstappen was second, and Albon was third, which is a big result for Albon really, because he hasn't got podium many times this season. Might have been his third time. But yeah, also some Perez and Stroll had like big crashes. I think Stroll actually was the one with the big crash. But yeah, basically that meant that him and Perez both came last, which wasn't a good day for... I can't remember what team it is. I'm just going to say it wasn't a good result for them. And then Bottas came 8th, which is also not a good result. I believe that's twice in a row he's got 8th now. Don't know what's happening there really. But that is it for this week's news. If you are new around here and haven't yet subscribed, please do so. Like the video if you did indeed like the video. And thanks for watching.